You understand, Father? Everyone shall know.
Marianne, have you gone out of your mind?
I love him. I love him. I love him.
I don't believe you. It's a mental derangement. You, who since you were old enough to speak, have been taught to hate the Franchi. Why, in the past, the very mention of this man's name would send you into tantrums of fury. Marianne, I refuse to believe it.
Believe it or believe it not, he must go free, do you understand? He must be put to bed now, for he is ill with the suffering he has been through. And then he must be sent home.
No.
Very well. If he dies, I tell Giuseppe. I tell everybody that I, Marianne Medici, love and worship him.
No, don't say that.
I do. I worship him. Even though he pretends he doesn't know me. I love him more than I've loved anything else in this world. Even now, when he goes out of my life, I shall still love him. Even though I know that he doesn't give me another thought. It's part of his revenge against the Medici. Don't you understand, Father? It was I who let him go free.
You?
Yes. I opened his door with another key. I took him across the rose garden, through the gate in the wall. I had a horse there, waiting for him. It was I also who saved his life in the valley.
But I don't understand.
I've been in love with Lucien de Franchi ever since the night I met him in the past. Ever since the night he let me go free. From that day, his name, his face, his very being has always been on my mind, on my heart, on my soul. And then when I heard you tell Uncle Pietro that you would both murder him in the valley below Mount Xanthus, I was desperate. I followed you.
You followed us?
Yes. And on the night when you arranged to creep on the camp and stab both him and his friend, I fired a shot on the mountainside, hoping that it would wake them up, put them on their guard.
So it was you. You who fired that shot?
Yes. Now, Father, do you believe what I say? Now do you believe that I love Lucien de Franchi?
I don't know what to think. What to say, Marianne. This has come as a terrible shock. You realize what you do in loving de Franchi? You dishonor me, your uncle, the entire family.
I know.
Isn't it enough to make you understand that they would cut our throats in our beds? That they would be happy to see us dead?
I know all that. Lucien de Franchi hates me. Otherwise he would never act in this way, pretending that he had forgotten everything. In spite of that, I still love him. If only you knew what I went through when I saw the lash flaying across his back out there. It was lashing me too, every blow, every stroke. But the agony for me was something that reached down to my very soul. Well, will you do as I say?
How can I with Giuseppe?
You have no choice. I shall tell Giuseppe everything. I have told you I shall tell the whole of Corsica. Do you understand? The whole of Corsica.
And afterwards? After he's been set free?
You can do what you like. You say I have dishonored your name? Very well. Fling me out, send me away. What does it matter what happens to me now? Perhaps I would be better dead. I don't care.
And the de Franchi? What of him? You wouldn't go crawling to him?
After he leaves here, if I ever meet Lucien de Franchi again, I will shoot him dead. This is my greatest sacrifice. But it is my last.
Well, madame.
He is quiet now, monsieur. The storm has passed.
Poor boy. He's suffering.
Yes, poor Lucien. But what of my other son? Where is he now?
It's a strange business, madame.
Stranger and stranger, Monsieur Godet. You have proved a great friend to us. To you I can confide.
Yes, madame.
Tonight, before you came, before this series of extraordinary incidents, Griffo and I were talking. And the news he gave me worried me more than I can say.
Oh? What was the news, madame?
It concerns Lucien and Marianne Medici.
Marianne?
Yes. You have no doubt heard her name before. The daughter of the main Medici family. She is very beautiful. Also very dangerous. I fear she has woven a spell over my son.
A spell? They're enemies, aren't they? Mortal enemies.
Lucien has been brought up to regard Marianne Medici as one of his deadliest enemies in Corsica. And she, on her side, has boasted openly that she would wipe us from the face of the earth. It was to be her lifelong task.
Then I don't see what...
How Marianne Medici could wave a spell? Do you believe in witchcraft, Monsieur Godet?
Witchcraft? Oh, no, madame.
Oh, of course. You come from France, the land of scientists, the practical men. But we, monsieur, we are steeped in folklore, in family tradition. Surely you have seen enough of this to understand that strange things happen in Corsica. You saw the agony my son went through tonight, all because something happens to Louis in the south.
Quite true. But it's common knowledge that between certain twins there is a kind of telepathy, madame. In this case, well, you told me that these boys had to be separated by a doctor at birth. The affinity would have been closer.
Quite true. But be that as it may, I still think that Marianne has used some supernatural power. My son thinks constantly of her. That I have found out.
Wouldn't that be the best thing that could happen, madame?
What?
Well, supposing the liking is mutual, more than that perhaps, then that would be the means of ending a frightful vendetta.
You are not suggesting, Monsieur Godet. You dare not suggest that my son marry a Medici.
Oh, madame, I don't think it's quite as awful as it sounds.
May I be struck dead if such a thing should happen.
Oh, don't say that,
I
madame.
mean it. The blood of the Franchi to mingle with the foul, stinking blood of that scum in the south. I would rather we should all die at this very moment.
A week passed, a worrying week for the de Franchis. There was not a shred of news concerning Louis de Franchi, and yet, because Lucien had had no vision, Madame, who steadfastly believed in the family tradition, believed Louis to be alive. Finally, at the end of the week, Lucien, unable to bear the suspense any longer, decided on action. He went to Madame and spoke his mind.
Mother, I can't stand it any longer. Something must be done.
What do you mean, my son?
It is a whole week now, and we haven't heard any news of Louis. There is only one thing for it. I shall go down to the south myself.
No.
I must, Mother. Only to find out what news there is. Who can tell what is happening to poor Louis? If he is alive...
He is alive, I know that.
Then I must go. Oh, surely there is some way by which I can save him.
You know you speak foolish words. The Medici household is a strong one. They have so many supporters. You so few. What can you do, Lucien?
Little, I suppose. And yet...
You might lose your own life. And then where would we be? Here in the north we are safe. This is a natural stronghold. We would welcome the Medici if they came here to try and do us harm. But down there is their own country. My son, you know that you set yourself an impossible task. Listen.
The dogs. They bark only if they know who approaches. And... Why, Mother! Mother, look! Coming through the gates now.
Louis!
Louis, with drooped shoulders, his head down. Oh, Mother, he's ill. I must go to him quickly. We come, Louis! We come! Grippo, Pierre, it is Louis! He's back! Louis is safe! Oh, Louis!
Lucien. It is Lucien.
Oh, let me help you, Louis. Oh, you look so ill.
Yes, it's been such a long journey. I'm not well, Lucien. I'm not well.
Oh, I know. I have been through what you went through, my brother, except that yours was the physical and mine the mental. She set you free, didn't she? It was Marianne who set you free?
Marianne?
Yes.
In a way, it was.
I knew. Oh, Louis, I knew she was our friend, not our enemy. And yet if I dared mention such a thing to my mother...
Your friend? I'd like to tell you something, Lucien. Just as I was leaving, Marianne came up to the gate. She made me understand something very clearly.
What was that?
She said, if she ever sets eyes on you again, she'll shoot you on sight.
Oh, you're wrong, Louis. Marianne and I... Oh, I can't talk of it in front of my mother. Not yet.
I know. It's a long story, Lucien, but she thought I was you.
What?
Yes.
When I tried to tell her that I was not you, I...
Oh, why, Louis. Louis, you look so ill. Here, give me your arm.
I feel faint.
Here.
I've been through a great deal.
Oh, I know, my brother. I suffered with you.
You?
Yes. Just as you suffered with me when I was stabbed.
Louis. Louis. Oh, my son.
Mother.
I knew you were alive. I knew you were safe. What did I tell you, Lucien? Look at him, Monsieur Godet. It is Louis, alive and well.
Not well, Mother.
Not well?
No. He suffered as we guessed.
Oh, Louis.
I've been riding for 3 days in the mountains. If it hadn't been for peasants along the way, I think I should have...
Louis.
Oh, he's fainted.
Poor boy, he's as white as death.
Dead?
We must get him to the house at once.
Griffo! Come here quickly. It's my brother. We need your help.
Oh,
Griffo!
Louis, what have they done to you? What have they done to you, my boy?
Carefully, tenderly, Griffo and Lucien carried the inert form of Louis de Franchi into the house, where he was laid in a comfortable bed with clean white sheets, and Madame herself to nurse him. However, to the horror of them all, they discovered that across his back were ugly red wheals and cuts, proof positive that he had been flogged as they had feared. Lucien's thoughts were in a turmoil. The little he had heard of Marianne Medici amazed him beyond measure, but his troubled mind did not prevent him from acting quickly on his brother's behalf. Galloping a horse quickly to the village lower down on the mountain slopes, he brought back an earnest, though rather unskillful, Corsican physician, who applied a thick yellow substance across the back of the sick, exhausted Louis, and pronounced that he must not leave his bed for some weeks. Later, the anxious family forgathered in the living room, there to discuss this sudden turn of events.
He is so weak. He cannot speak above a whisper.
I would hardly have recognized him. For the first time, Lucien, your brother is not like you.
No?
His face is so drawn, lined with pain.
Beasts! If it were in my power, I would shoot them all dead. Each one of the Medici.
I think, Madame, that his pain is mental as well as physical.
I do not follow you, monsieur.
Louis left Paris with a broken heart. You know what Mme de Latouche did to him. Now it seems that his body as well as his spirit has been flogged. He's a very sick boy.
But he has the strength of mind to recover.
Madame, I think you must face the truth. Perhaps the doctor was not as frank with you as he was with me. Maybe because he didn't wish to bring further worry down on you. I spoke with him as he rode his horse through the gates. He said that if the boy didn't have the will to live, there'd be no progress. Rather would he go back and back until...
Oh, no, monsieur.
But the doctor didn't speak to me of this.
Sometimes a stranger is told much more, especially if a doctor has a kind heart, which would spare a relative.
Oh, but he must live. He's a de Franchi, my brother. We're the only two after my mother.
He should be happy to live, monsieur. He has found us, we have found him, and there is a purpose in our lives.
Well, at present he doesn't appreciate your purpose, which I gather is the final suppression of the Medici.
More than that, monsieur. Their extinction.
Madame, it's hard to consider the vendetta from Louis's point of view. He's city-bred, brought up in Parisian society. Besides, his heart is broken.
He'll live. I'll vouch for that. I'll talk with him. I'll make him understand that there is a purpose in his life, as there is in mine.
As there is in yours?
As there was in mine.
What do you mean?
Oh, nothing, Mother, except that Louis said something strange before he collapsed.
What was it?
Well, I'd rather not talk of it because, well, I don't understand. Later, when Louis can talk with me, perhaps then I'll know exactly what my purpose is.
Louis. It is Louis.
He's calling for Mme de Latouche. Poor Louis.
Amélie!
Oh, Louis, my son. Louis. Louis, dear Louis. What is it?
Is it you, Amélie?
It is your mother here.
Where is she? Where is she?
Lie still, Louis. Oh, Lucien, look at his white face. The suffering.
The suffering of mind and body.
Amelie.
She's always in his mind.
It's strange how a woman can leave an impression like that. Always in the mind.
And to think that he should meet a woman who would treat him so.
She's absolutely heartless. She led him on and on. A woman who was interested in him only when she thought he had prospects, great wealth. I wonder where she is now. The beautiful Emilie Latouche.
Amelie. Amelie.
Amelie, turn around.
Well,
Perfect.
my only objection is that it hides my figure, my waist.
My dear, you insisted on ermine to the floor. You have ermine to the floor.
You really like it?
It's not for me to say. It's for you.
I think it's wonderful to be clothed in fur. It gives the girl confidence, makes her feel like a woman. Have you ever bought a fur coat for another woman, Paul? You have?
My dear, I've bought many. And I can tell you this. Here in England, a coat such as you're wearing is considered conspicuous.
Oh?
But in Paris, the rage. Here, the women inside such coats are not the kind of women one should know.
Really? Paul, you've had a great deal of experience with women.
But not with a wife. And you are now my wife.
Tell me about these women.
Well, I've seen thousands of them. Debutantes, mistresses, wives, old maids. I've seen them eating, I've seen them drinking. I know their smell. Lavender and chocolate and perspiration. And the scent of their flower corsages all mixed up together.
Oh, Paul, how horrible.
But not you, my dear. You always smell like a garden in the early morning. Roses and violets. And something of the exotic, too. Yes. Wisteria and jasmine and tuberoses.
Is it any wonder that you sweep me off my feet? You say the nicest things always.
You're worth it, my dear. A beauty with a brain.
And a fur coat. Oh, Paul, it's glorious, really it is. How much did you ask for it?
Never you mind. That's the one question you'll never have to ask, my pet.
These lovely pearl earrings that you gave me. You always keep your promises.
With you, yes.
Oh, Paul, I'm so happy it's almost too good to last.
But you haven't seen London yet. Not properly.
I don't care where I am, so long as I'm with you. Although...
Yes, Amelie?
Sometimes there's a niggling little fear deep down in my heart. Papa and Mama.
You miss them, I know.
Not all the time.
Oh, but you do.
I'm wondering if they'll reply to my letter. Do you think they will? It'll be such a shock, knowing that I married someone they hardly know, knowing that I've left scandal all around them because I was betrothed to another.
Amelie, I hope you're not thinking of him.
Louis? Good heavens, no. Apart from Papa and Mama, there's only one person I think of. And believe me, he comes first.
Amelie, I'm surprised at you putting all your cards on the table. That's not quite the strategy of love, Amelie.
You did not let me finish. He comes first, yes. After my first.
You little rogue. Another barb like that, and I shall think the coat is too expensive after all.
Oh, it's always the same. Amelie. He calls for her constantly.
Poor Louis. Such mental torture. Is the doctor still with him?
No. He's been talking with my mother. They've been in the sitting room for over half an hour.
Amelie.
Oh, listen to him. Oh, if there was only something we could do. He gets weaker every day. Every hour I see the life ebbing from him. Oh, here's my mother now.
Madame.
Well?
The doctor has gone.
What did he say, Mme de Franchi?
He is dying.
Oh, can nothing save him?
Yes.
What?
There is a person who can save him, Lucien. Her name is Emilie Latouche.
Emilie?
He calls for her night and day. The doctor declares that if she is brought to his bedside, if she talks with him, it will give him the will to live. That is the truth, Monsieur Godet. If the boy cannot see Emilie, have her by his bedside, he will surely die, so the doctor says.
This is frightful.
Pierre, is it? Could it be possible?
For Emilie to come to Corsica? But don't you understand that she She eloped with some captain. They went to England.
Yes, but perhaps they're back in Paris now.
Oh, even so, I hardly think... Well, you see, it's such a difficult position.
She must have some regard for my boy, some spark of tenderness, romance, even love. After all, she was betrothed to him.
Yes, madame. But a betrothal in Paris is not a betrothal in Corsica. In Corsica, two people get married because they love each other. In Paris, sometimes it's the families who marry the young ones. Sometimes it's the young ones who marry for betterment, for gain, for money, objectives which are not the spiritual aims of the marriage service.
And you think she would refuse to come?
It's doubtful. On the other hand, madame, I suppose one could try.
I will come with you. I will go down on my bended knees to her if necessary.
I don't know that she'd listen to you, Lucien. After all, you're a stranger.
And you?
Oh, I'm little better, madame. Just a friend of Louis whom she met frequently, that's all. Still, it's worth trying, I suppose. It might mean, though, that we shall have to travel to England.
To the end of the earth, if necessary, to save my brother's life.
Very well, then, Lucien. It's settled. We'll go to Paris. We'll interview her parents and find out where Emilie is. And then we seek Emilie out.
Paul!
What's the matter, my little butterfly? Your wings flutter very excitedly today.
Paul has come. Look, a letter from Mamma.
A letter? Really?
Oh, Paul, I can hardly believe the lines as I read them.
What does she say?
The unbelievable, the incredible, the unpredictable has happened. I've been forgiven.
Forgiven?
Yes, and you too. Oh, Paul, my sweet, they approve of you.
In spite of my reputation?
I wrote a very glowing letter about you, Paul. The 6 shifts, the way you've been received here in London society, the wonderful time I'm having. It's impressed both Mamma and Papa. Here, read the letter for yourself.
You know, you're an artful minx. You know the direct way to the heart, don't you? The way to get around anybody.
Well, of course, I wrote the letter to Mamma. She has been the tenderest heart all the time. This is the result. Oh, Paul, it means that we shall go back to Paris. Myself and my husband.
Whatever else you are, Emilie, you're always the true woman.
Oh, why do you say that?
The womanly instinct, my dear, is always to exhibit what has been caught on the line.
I hope you are caught, Paul. No struggling to get away. No jumping off the hook.
No struggling, my pet. You see, I'm rather fond of the bait.
Meanwhile, Lucien de Franchi, for the first time in his life, set sail for France with Pierre Godet. It was an uneventful journey, except for the fact that the sea was as smooth as glass with not a breath of air. A hot summer sun with a milky haze on the horizon. When the coast of France bloomed through this haze, Lucien viewed it with mixed feelings. France, to him, through the years with constant repetition, with constant tales of extraordinary doings in that country, had assumed a rather mythical quality. And it rather surprised him to find that the docks of Toulon and the hurrying and scurrying and noise of the unloading had very much the same matter-of-factness here as it had at the docks in his own Ajaccio. The journey from Toulon to Paris was a surprise, since now Lucien travelled through country which was completely different to his native Corsica. First slums, incredible in their craziness, then in the country ordered farms and undulated hills, and a sense of well-ordered peace and serenity everywhere. And finally, Paris in the distance, overhung with the smoke and dust of thousands of chimneys. Paris with its countless spires, its boulevards studded with green trees, and its snow-white houses and equally dark, dirty ones. The insistent bumping of the coach and the clatter of the wheels on the cobbled stones. Lucien, dumbfounded, spoke not at all, nor did his companion encourage conversation. Finally, the coach pulled up with a great bump and a screeching of the handbrake in front of Monsieur Godet's apartment.
Oh, this is where I live. I said this is where I live, Lucien.
Oh.
Your thoughts were miles away.
Oh, no, not really. I was just trying to reconcile this Paris with the one I dreamed about.
Well, let's dream inside. I'm sick of this coach. All right, coachman, you can come back at 4. This way, Lucien. This is considered rather an elegant quarter of Paris.
Elegant? When you're hemmed in with bricks and mortar, with cobblestones and windows looking at you from every direction?
You don't like it?
Well, it's not what I thought it would be.
Oh, just a moment. I have to find my key now. I dismissed my manservant for a month while I went away on my holiday. A strange kind of holiday it's been. Well, welcome to my home, Lucien.
Thank you, Pierre. Well, I might not admire the outside, but this is elegant.
You like it?
One can tell you're a man of books now. 2 walls of the room practically covered with them.
Books are very wonderful things, Lucien. They can reveal for you lives that are gone, civilizations that have crumbled in the dust, but are not even a memory until they vibrate and come to life again and reincarnate in the pages of a book. Tired?
Oh, no.
Well, I am. What's more, a drink will be very helpful. Can I pour one for you?
Oh, thank you, Pierre.
Oh, Lucien, you're still in a daze. Paris has been too much for you, my boy.
Oh, Pierre, it's so vast, so man-made, and so full of smells.
Lucien. So you're up at last.
Oh, I must have fallen into a stupor.
You slept heavily, that's all. I didn't like to come in and disturb you.
Oh, it's just that... Well, you drew the curtains, and I'm so used to the sun rising in the mountains. My room in the mountains...
I know. Well, Lucien, while you've been abed and asleep, I've been out. I've been to see the Latouches.
Emily's parents?
Yes. And here's a most extraordinary coincidence. The Latouches heard from their daughter 2 days ago. She returns to Paris today.
Today?
Yes. And Lucien, I dare not think, I dare not hope. And yet it seems as though the gods might be planning this for us. I had visions of us having to go off to England in search of Amelie. Instead, she comes to Paris, almost at the same time that we arrive.
You think she will listen?
Well, I told Madame Latouche my story. She was very touched. She feels that Amelie, providing that she's accompanied by her father as chaperone, will go across to Corsica, and that she'll help your brother.
Look, Annette. Look at this. Oh, isn't it lovely? I wore this at a court reception. Everybody looked. What a glorious gown. And the pearls on the shoulder. Those are real pearls, sewn into the gown. Oh, Amelie. Oh, you've always been so lucky all your life. From when you were a tiny girl. If only I had 100th part of your luck. If you say to yourself that never can anything go wrong in it, nothing ever will go wrong. You remember when I left here, how black things looked in Paris? An elopement for me, Papa and Ma all alone facing the scandal, the thoughts of their anger, complications with Louis, and yet you come back and you're welcome with open arms. Well, after all, I have security. I have everything I want. Oh, darling, wait till you see the pièce de résistance, my ermine cloak. Ermine? It drapes to the floor like a train, and the most glorious collar. Wait, just wait. Yvette hung it for me only this morning, here in this cupboard. If you are very nice to me, I shall allow you to try it on and look at yourself in the mirror. Oh, Amelie. Wait till I drape it around me. Oh, Amelie. Isn't that worth getting married for? Isn't that worth risking scandal and everything else? Oh, it's beautiful. Please, can I try it on? I knew you'd say that. Come in. Yes, Yvette, what is it? Madame Valentine gentleman to see you. Who? Monsieur Pierre Godet. Monsieur Godet? Oh, tell him I can't see him.
In that case, I shall have to come in and see you, Madame Chateaubriand.
Oh, Monsieur Godet, it is not that I didn't want to see you, but I'm busy.
You look devastating. What a magnificent coat.
You can go with it. Yes, my husband bought it in England.
Your husband? Oh, quite. Well, I came to see you about...
Monsieur Godet, I hope you've not come to embarrass me. There are certain painful subjects of which I would rather not speak. The episode just before my marriage, I prefer not to talk about.
I must apologize, Madame, for that is just why I have come. It's a very urgent matter.
If you have come from Louis with any message, I don't want to hear them.
I've not come with messages, but I've come from Louis's bedside. He's dangerously ill.
Ill?
Yes, Madame. Dying.
Dying?
But it's in your power to save him.
In my power? Now then, Monsieur Godet, if you think this is the time to joke...
I'm not joking. Louis in his delirium calls for you constantly, day and night. The doctor tells us that only you can save his life. I've come here to beg of you to come with me to Corsica and to stay by Louis's bedside for just a little while until he recovers his strength. Madame, his life is in your hands. It's a great favor I ask, Madame. But if you saw poor Louis now...
I'm afraid I'm not interested in Louis now or at any other time.
Oh, I know that you've married Captain Chateaurenaud. I know all this. But I thought that perhaps out of pity for someone whom you must have once loved.
I never loved Louis, never.
You must have liked him. You were betrothed.
Liked him? Perhaps I did. He was naive, unusual, earnest, but oh, so polite and soulful. I'm sorry, Monsieur Godet. It's out of the question.
Haven't you any pity? I tell you the boy's dying.
What's that to me? It's not my fault, surely.
You broke his heart.
He should have strength of mind to get over it. It was always his trouble. A milk and water mind. No fire, no strength about him at all. Where did you say he was?
In Corsica.
In Corsica? You're not suggesting, Monsieur Godet, that I should travel all the way to Corsica just to hold his hand?
It's not very much to ask when a life is at stake.
Not very much to ask. From what I've heard, the Corsicans are barbarians, nature's peasants. I want none of them, thank you very much. And Monsieur Godet, if you don't mind, my cousin and I are rather busy. You came in unannounced.
Your maid announced me.
Yes, but you walked in directly after her. And I might remind you that this is a lady's boudoir.
I'm sorry if I've intruded, Madame. But I thought if you had one spark of pity...
Pity doesn't enter into it. I'm a married woman, Monsieur Godet. I have my duty to my husband. And I'm sure he would never countenance such behavior.
Strange that you should think of behavior.
Monsieur Godet, what are you insinuating?
Well, after all, you've been a little, shall we say, unusual, eloping as you did.
That is my own private and personal affair. And I'll thank you to mind your own business, Monsieur Godet. You'll find a footman in the hall. He'll show you to the door.
I see. Louis always thought you were beautiful, Madame. Beauty never has hard lines, and your face at this moment is like granite. Goodbye, Madame.
Oh, Neely, how could you? I can't be fussed, Annette. Fooling around after Louis. Besides, Monsieur Godet has exaggerated. A man couldn't possibly die, all because he was in love. Ridiculous. Oh, look, darling, I'll throw this ermine round my shoulders again. I'll walk before you. I want you to see how it trails at the back, just like a train. You've never known what it is to love. Love? Haven't I? I love lots of things. Jewelry and coaches with coats of arms and silver and gold, and my husband and his estates and pearls. But best of all, I think I like this. I think it's the most beautiful ermine coat I've ever seen. And when I go to the opera tonight, oh, la la. Did you go to the opera in England? I went to Drury Lane. If you'd seen the women there staring at me. Paul said I looked like a stud horse, parading with my coat on and blinkers. Blinkers? Meaning my pearls, darling. But if you've seen those other women in their boxes, staring at me with twittering nostrils, just like old horses, painted, perfumed, bejeweled, decorated beyond recognition, but positively green with envy. Oh, how I love Paris.
Pierre. Good evening, Lucien.
Well?
She wouldn't hear of it.
You mean?
I mean, Lucien, that I've been talking with a witch. A heartless, unspeakable, empty little monster who could think of nothing but clothes and jewelry and her own personal self. Even if your brother dies, he will have had a lucky escape. She's the most ruthless young woman I've ever met in my life.
Then that means that...
I've been thinking things over as I came back in the carriage. Don't be downcast, Lucien. There's still one hope. A small hope, but it's there. There's a very brilliant physician here in Paris, Dr. Cavassier. If I could persuade him to come to Corsica, even on a holiday, something might be done. The king thinks the world of him. He has all France at his feet. That's why it may be difficult to get him away. But it is a hope. Our last hope.
And this woman, this Amélie Latouche?
Incredible. Oh, it makes me sick in the stomach when I think of her, standing there in the middle of her boudoir with her finery all around.
Finery?
Yes, English hats and dresses which she bought, lying in confusion all over the place. She'd obviously been trying them on. And a magnificent ermine cloak. It was almost as though she said, "What's a life when I have these?"
The little witch. I'd like to throttle her with these two hands. I will.
Lucien.
I will. To smash my brother's life the way she has. I'll kill her.
Lucien, sit down. Might I remind you that this is Paris? You're not in Corsica now. This is your brother's world, a society of refined ladies and gentlemen.
Refined? Ha! A refined form of torture, you mean? A refined way to slowly murder somebody? To put them in their grave with the most fiendish pain?
But what do you know of it, my boy? You haven't been in love.
Haven't I? Oh, Pierre, I haven't told you everything. A little, perhaps, but not everything. I know what it is. But the trouble is, I don't know the full story. Louis hasn't been well enough to tell me. When he does, then I shall know what to do.
Lucien's thoughts flew across the seas to the south of Corsica, to Marianne. What had happened when Louis had been taken prisoner, when Louis had been flogged? Lucien could tell nobody of the dull ache in his own heart, the ache, the loneliness, the yearning for the dark-eyed girl of his dreams, the girl who told Louis she would shoot him on sight. That night, Lucien spent a sleepless night, anger and indignation crowding his mind, filling his heart with rancor against the girl who had refused his brother in such a way. The next morning, Pierre Godet went off early to see the great Dr. Cavossier, and it was not until late afternoon that he returned. Lucien had been sitting most of the day in an armchair, gazing into an empty fireplace. Even Paris, with its strange sights, its crowded thoroughfares, its unexpected highways and byways, held no fascination for him. His own mind was too confused, worrying over his own troubles and those of his brothers. Even when the door had opened and Pierre had burst into the room, he found it hard to rid himself of his mood.
Oh, Lucien, you're here waiting. I expected you might be. I've got wonderful news.
Have you?
Yes. After waiting for 3 hours, Dr. Cavossier saw me and Lucien, what's the matter?
Oh, nothing. Perhaps I'm worrying over my brother. Go on with your news, Pierre. He's coming to Corsica?
Unfortunately, no. But he has a protege, a young doctor, very brilliant, who plans to go off on a holiday next week. He gave me a letter of introduction. I went to see this doctor and... Lucien, this young doctor is coming to Corsica.
He will be able to cure my brother?
Cavossier says he's the most brilliant young man yet seen in medical circles. And that coming from Cavossier...
And we take this doctor back with us?
Yes. Oh, I've made many promises. You'll have to help me. I've told this doctor that the hunting is splendid, that he'll be able to shoot as many partridges as he likes, and that the wild boar will offer great thrills.
Thank you, Pierre. It was a lucky day, the day I met you at that inn in Ajaccio. You have been a good friend to us ever since.
And so arrangements were made to take this young doctor back to Corsica with them. On the morning of departure, Pierre Godet had several routine affairs to attend to in his apartment, but he wondered at Lucien's quiet demeanor. Several times had he spoken to him, but received no answer. Finally, he mentioned the subject.
Lucien, there's something the matter with you this morning.
Is there?
Yes. These last few days, ever since the day when I told you that we were taking young Dr. Coure back to Corsica, you've been quiet. Ever so quiet. You've shown no interest in Paris. All you've done is to moon around here in this apartment.
Oh, I'm sorry, Pierre, if I'm not good company.
Oh, I know you're worried, my boy, but you should feel happier in mine now. I really feel that this doctor will be able to do something for your brother. What have you been brooding about?
I've been thinking how selfish some women can be. How incredibly bad. They don't make them like that in Corsica. This Amélie Latouche. She should suffer.
She will, in time. No thoroughly wicked woman can escape the consequences of her own actions. Sooner or later, like the pendulum of a clock, these actions swing back and strike.
Swing back and strike. You're right, Pierre. I haven't seen much of Paris. Perhaps this morning I'll go for a walk around the city parks and boulevards.
Well, don't forget that we leave at 8 this evening. If only I had the time, I'd come with you, but today of all days...
I'd rather be alone. Much rather.
Oh, be careful, Annette. This dress is so tight. I can hardly button it up the back. But you're pinching my flesh. Wait till I breathe out. Now, quickly. There. Oh, what a waist. Oh, how I envy your waist. Starve yourself for a week and you'd be the same. Oh, that reminds me. I left my stand in Mamma's room when I came home last night. She insisted that I go in and talk with her. We wakened her as we came up the stairs. Get it for me, Annette. Yes, Emily. Oh, I wish I was coming with you. I can't be invited to everything. Everything? But I'm not invited to anything these days. Except when you tag me along. I'll get your fare. My waist. It's a pretty waist if the mirror doesn't lie. And I'm sure mine doesn't. I'm sure. In the mirror. A face. A face at the window. You.
Good evening. You are Emilie?
What are you doing here? Don't you dare climb through the window. Don't you dare come into my room. Why have you come here?
I've come to kill you. To break your slender neck with these two hands.
Louis, you're crazy. I was told you were ill.
Louis! That's funny. Very funny.
Louis. Louis, please.
Louis. That's funny.
Louis, you're joking.
Does a man joke when he says he's going to break a pretty neck? You will have an opportunity now to find out whether I'm joking or not.
Louis, I pray you. You're ill. I know you're ill. I was told you were ill.
Indeed.
Yes, your friend Monsieur Godet came to me. Or did he lie? He told me you were ill and in Corsica. But you don't look ill, Louis. Oh, Louis, please don't look so strangely at me. You talk so strangely. What are you staring at?
He was right. You are beautiful. Your fair hair, your blue eyes, your milky white skin. They match the pearls in your ears.
You were joking, weren't you?
Yes. Perhaps I was joking.
So Monsieur Godet lied?
Yes, he lied. I'm not ill. How could I be ill when I'm here talking with you?
Flying through my window. Louis, what are you thinking of? And how dare you frighten me the way you did? To hear you say those words, threatening to strangle me. So unlike you. Oh, how dare you?
Even when you're angry, you're beautiful.
Get out of my room. Get out or I'll have the servants throw you out. Don't you understand, Louis, that I'm married now? That I have a husband? He's away for a week or two, but nevertheless, I'm a married woman.
But you didn't marry the de Franchi.
What is there about you, Louis? You've changed.
Have I?
There's something different about you.
I'm not surprised.
What is it?
Come closer. I won't bite. Are you still frightened that I might break your pretty neck?
Louis, such language. Is that what Corsica has done for you? Is that what Corsica has done?
Yes. Corsica knows me very well.
It's hardened you, toughened you. It's made you...
What?
Well, before you were so gentle, so quiet, so reserved, so different to
the type of man who would climb through your window and squeeze your neck.
Oh, don't talk like that.
I'm sorry.
You must have climbed over the wall up to the balcony.
Yes.
But it's so unlike you. And such a climb, and...
You look amazed. You think perhaps that Corsica has done me some good?
Well, from what I heard, you were broken-hearted and dying because of my lack of interest in you. I didn't think that was so...
So much in possession of myself?
Yes.
You're annoyed, aren't you?
No, not really.
Yes, you are. You're annoyed. You're disappointed. Disappointed because I'm not as Monsieur Godet says. It flattered your vanity, your supreme egotism, didn't it, to think that a man might be dying because of his love for you?
What ridiculous nonsense.
It's true, and you know it's true. You're still frightened of me.
Yes. Yes, Louis, I'm frightened. But it's not of you, it's me.
You?
Yes, you're self-possessed, calm, collected, but
You're uncertain about yourself. Perhaps the runaway match has not been successful.
But it has.
Perhaps now that you've met me again, you think you might have made a mistake. Oh, they were wonderful nights, weren't they? Nights of romance. My arms around you, your arms around me.
Don't. This is utterly ridiculous. And Louis, Annette will be back in a minute. She's gone along to Mamma's room to get a fan for me. I left it there.
What is the matter?
I don't know. I've run out of words. And, what is there about you? What is there?
Amelie. Oh, Amelie, my darling. Don't go. Please don't go.
Again and again. Oh, Griffo, what shall we do?
There, madam. We can do nothing but wait.
Day after day, night after night, he can think of no one else. He can see no one else.
Yes, quite right, madame. All the weeks he's been here, he's not recognized you. Oh, madame, look at his poor fingers. They're so thin. And look at his hands. Just like skeleton hands.
What is it, Louis? What is it, my son?
On the terrace. The music in the distance. The moonlight. And the Seine like a blue-white ribbon. Oh, it's a lovely night, Amelie.
Yes, my son. It is a lovely night.
We won't dance, will we? We'll just stand out here in the moonlight, you and I. Your face near mine, so I can feel the softness of your cheek. Hear the beating of your heart.
Yes, my son.
We'll go on like this forever and ever, won't we? No. Go away. You're not Amelie. Go away.
Louis.
Go away. Leave me alone. I want Amelie. Oh, don't crowd round me. Please don't crowd round me.
Let him be, madame. Let us go outside.
Amelie, don't go away. Please don't go away.
I know, madame. I know, and it breaks my heart, too.
Oh, Griffo, what can I do? When I am with him, he tells me to go away. And when I am away from him, he calls for Amelie.
Well, soon we will hear news, madame, and it will be good news. Wonderful news it'll be. Why, Mademoiselle Latouche, she will be with Lucien and Monsieur Godet. And then one day, perhaps even today, madame, you will be sitting here as we sit now. Oh, and then, madame, you will suddenly stiffen, and you will say, Griffo, listen, horses in the valley. Only I can hear the horses, Griffo, and then, madame, you will hurry upstairs, and you will prepare the room. And I shall open the gates, madame, and I'll quieten the dogs, and then they shall come, madame, Lucien and Monsieur Godet and Amelie.
Oh, they will never persuade her.
Oh, but of a certainty they will, madame. There's not a woman in the world who could do otherwise. Why, no woman could be so hard-hearted as that. And when Monsieur Godet tells her that Louis is dying... Oh, he will not die, madame. Oh, no, he will never die. But when Monsieur Godet tells this beautiful young lady that he is dying, only tells him, see, she will not be able to resist. No, she will not be able to come quickly enough.
Oh, Griffo, it is a forlorn hope.
Oh, no, madame. Perhaps the boat is in the harbor now. Perhaps at this very moment she walks across the gangplank and Lucien comes hurrying after her to bring her here. Oh, yes, madame, she will come. And and then she will sit by his bedside. And soon he will be well and strong again. Aye, so well and so strong that you will not be able to tell him from Lucien.
They say that out of great happiness comes great pain. Out of pain comes happiness.
Aye, madame.
For all that I have suffered, for all that I suffer now, Griffo, there must be happiness for me somewhere in the future. My earnest prayer to the dear God is that somewhere, somehow, there will be happiness for Lucien, for Louis, and for their mother.
Amelie, my darling, Amelie.
Give him strength, O God. Give him strength to bear this cross.
Why, Lucien, I've been nearly out of my mind.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Look at the time, nearly 10 o'clock. I've delayed the carriage. Dr. Cure is ready and waiting, and now, well, it's doubtful if we'll be able to catch the boat.
Oh, Pierre, I'm sorry.
Where were you, Lucien? Did you get lost in the city?
Yes, perhaps I was lost.
Then there's not a minute to lose. Your bags are packed. Everything's ready. We shall have to rush downstairs straight away. If we miss that boat, we'll have to wait 2 days before another one goes out.
Just a moment.
Yes, Lucien?
Pierre, this will not make any difference to your plans. You and the doctor can go off on your journey just the same and go to my mother and to Louis, but me...
What are you trying to say?
I shall stay in Paris for a time.
Lucien, I must confess I don't understand you. All the time you've been here, you've taken no interest in Paris. And then today you decide to go for a walk, and now...
Now I want to stay.
Well, stay if you feel like it, of course, but you were so anxious to get back to your brother. What's more, time passes, the coach is waiting, and... Well, do you want to stay here in the apartment? Would you prefer that I stayed too?
No, Pierre. I would take it as a great favor if you went. After all, you interviewed this doctor. It was you who was able to arrange everything. The doctor must go to Louis. Louis must get well. I will come back to Corsica as soon as I can.
As soon as you can? Lucien, there's something very strange about this.
Now, please, Pierre, please. Don't ask any more questions. I'll be back soon.
What about your mother? What shall I tell your mother?
Tell her that I find Paris very interesting. Very interesting indeed. Lucien threw himself full length on his bed, his hands clasped behind his head, his eyes fixed on the ceiling. All night long he lay thus, without closing his eyes, a thoughtful, faraway expression on his face. The next morning, Emilie, who with her husband on the high seas was still staying with her parents, received a visit from Annette. Emilie was brushing her long golden hair as Annette entered the room. Reflected in the mirror, it resembled the tail of a golden horse, with something of its brittleness and vitality. As soon as she saw her cousin's reflection in the mirror, she turned her head, and with one arm outstretched, handed the brush to Annette, the other switching her hair out like a great golden fan.
Just in time. Well, I never. Please, you can do it so much better than I can. I've been brushing for a quarter of an hour, and my arms are aching. It's a wonder you didn't have the maids up brushing your hair this morning. Well, they're much too busy downstairs. Please, Annette, I want my hair to look its best tonight. And when you brush it shines. Such lovely hair. I don't think you realize how lucky you are, Emilie. I don't know whether I am lucky. Not lucky. With a husband fabulously rich and handsome into the bargain, and everything you want. I'm not sure that I have everything I want. Some people are never satisfied. If I only had half of what you have... Oh, my. How your hair crackles. Brush harder. You said you wanted to look your best tonight. The captain is away. I didn't think you cared how you looked while your husband was away. Emilie, what's the matter? Nothing. You're not looking at all happy this morning. I am. I'm very happy. There's something on your mind. Annette, I've got to talk this over with someone. I had a visitor last night. Who? Louis. Louis Prevost? Louis de Franchi, as we know him now. He'd come up the side of the house and right into my boudoir.
Not Louis de Franchi?
Yes. Why, Amelia, I can hardly believe that he would have done such a thing. A man so quiet, so reserved, so... I know, I was surprised myself. And yet, Louis has changed.
Really?
Yes.
In what way?
I don't know. I just can't grasp the difference. But there's something about him. Something that wasn't there before. A ruggedness, a strength. It's almost as though he were a new Louis. Oh, don't stop brushing.
Whatever made him do this? Don't tell me. I think I know. He's still in love with you. He knew that you'd refused to see him, so he climbed up the side of the house. Oh, how he must love you.
You really think he does?
Well, the night that you eloped, if you'd seen him and talked with him as I did...
But does he love me, does he?
Emily, don't tell me. Oh, no, Emily, no. You're not still in love with Louis.
No, of course I'm not. But, well, Annette, to be frank, there are qualities in Louis which I didn't see before. In fact, I'd seen things more clearly.
Don't tell me that you're regretting now that you're married to Captain Chateau Renaud.
Oh, of course not. He's wealthy. He can buy me everything I want. While Louis is comfortable.
You're still in love with him, aren't you?
No, of course I'm not. It's just that I'm disturbed by this difference in him. Whether it's the separation, the time that's passed between us, or whether... Oh, never mind. I'm stupid to talk this way.
Of course you are. You're married now. Your future is settled. Still, Emily, at the time, I thought you were making a mistake. Is that why you want to look your best tonight? You're meeting him, aren't you? Answer me.
Yes, I am. What of it? I'm meeting him at 4:30 in the gardens, just for old time's sake.
While you sit before the mirror, Madame Emilie, your thoughts are most disturbed. Then how are you to know that this subtle difference in Louis is because Louis is really Lucien, his twin brother? Lucien, reared in the ruggedness and fierceness of Corsica. Lucien, who is the kind of man you've never met before, a man whose primitive side is the most predominant. Yet he has the face and features of Louis, who was once betrothed to you, so how can you guess? The day drags by. Time means nothing to you in the ordinary course of events. But from now till 4:30 there is urgency, importance, something that fills you with impatience. Time is always like this, unheeded when there's nothing to wait for, but psychologically significant when you wait for it to pass. Meanwhile, what of Lucien? Pierre Godet has gone now, and yet Lucien does not explore Paris. He sits in the apartment and also waits for those hours to pass. He knows full well that he has been mistaken for his brother, but what thoughts flit through his mind? What feelings has he relating to his brother and to this beautiful girl over whom his brother broke his heart? At last the hands of the clock drag round close to the appointed time. Lucien has shaved and bathed and dressed himself with meticulous care. Soon he is in the gardens, walking firmly and surely along a path which passes an ornate fountain, a miniature lake, and finally leads to a circular promenade in the middle of which stands a sundial. This is the appointed place. Time, with dragging footsteps, leads Lucien to the time signified by the sundial. Time and a beautiful girl who stands impatiently, anxiously, as Lucien appears.
You're late.
Yes.
I don't know why I'm here. Really, I don't.
You said you'd meet me.
Yes.
To talk things over.
But there's nothing to talk over, really. I'm married now, Louis.
Then why did you come?
I told you, for old time's sake. After all, when we met, we worked together, we were happy.
Of course. Are you happy now, Amelie?
I've never been happier in my life.
I hear that your husband is a very wealthy man.
Yes.
You wouldn't have been wealthy if you'd married me. I suppose you took that into consideration.
No, Louis, I'm sorry for you. Honestly, I am.
Don't be.
Why not?
Do I look as though my heart's broken?
But it is, isn't it?
You're still disappointed, aren't you? Disappointed because I'm not prostrate. I know what I should really do. I should thrash you for what you did to me.
Thrash me? How dare you? How dare you say a thing like that?
You deserve it and you know it.
What's come over you, Louis? To say the things that you've been saying to me, to climb the side of the house and force your way into my boudoir. What's happened to you?
You seem to like it.
I don't know. What's more, I shouldn't have come here to meet you. It was an unpardonable intrusion last night.
Then why did you come here? You couldn't have stayed away.
Why did you?
Why? I think you know why.
Oh, Louis, you still love me, don't you? You are breaking your heart.
Perhaps I am.
If I could only have seen things as I see them now.
Why?
Well, Louis, ever since last night, I haven't been able to get you out of my mind. All the past has come back. You and I together. Moonlight, sane, just like a silver ribbon. Your voice in my ear telling me that you loved me, worshipped me, adored me. The nostalgia overwhelms me, Louis. I can't tell you.
Tell me that you love me now.
I'm married, don't you understand? There's Chateau Renaud.
You married him for his money, didn't you?
Yes. There. Now what do you think of me? I'm incredibly selfish, aren't I? But if you could only understand, Louis, I've always wanted power and the things that money could buy. My father's had to struggle. He's in society, certainly, but he's never had very much money. And my mamma has always made me understand that money and position were the most important things in the world. Oh, Louis, if only you hadn't broken with the Prévosts, things would have been different.
But you would have been marrying me for my money then.
Perhaps so, but I would have loved you too. Because in my heart...
Tell me.
No.
You must.
In my heart, I know that I love you. Now. Oh, Louis. Hold me close just for a moment. Let's think of things as they used to be.
You're even more beautiful than I thought. Maybe give me your lips.
Oh, Louis, you do love me, don't you? You still love me.
Love you. I love you desperately, Amelie. So desperately that something must be done. In some way, somehow, Captain Chateau Renaud must go from your life. I love you. Do you hear me, Amelie? I love you.
In spite of what I have done?
In spite of what you have done.
Oh, Louis, if we could only go back. If I'd not met Captain Chateau Renaud.
If only I had not told you that I'd been disinherited.
But you have money, a little money.
Yes, but it's too late now, isn't it? Or is it?
I'm married, Louis. Don't you understand?
But your husband is away on the high seas, so you tell me.
Yes, but...
Then there is no one to stand between us.
Don't.
My dear Amelie, in the past, you've shown that you have no scruples. Oh, Amelie, if you love me, as you say you do...
I do.
Then listen carefully to what I have to say. We must meet again and again.
You have missed me?
Oh, more than I can say.
I'm glad.
I have an apartment in Paris. I'm staying with Monsieur Godet, who's gone away to Corsica. Come with me, back to my apartment.
I can't. I must be home, because Papa is expecting me.
Afterwards?
Tonight there is a reception. I have to go.
After the reception?
After the reception? Why,
You must. I'll be waiting for you. I'll write down the address.
Oh, Louis, what is there about you? What is it? Something I never saw before. Something I never felt before.
You know now that you're in love with me.
More in love than I've ever been in my life. In fact, if you had no money, if you had nothing, I'd marry you if I were free.
That from you is a compliment.
Oh, don't say that so bitterly. You should be glad. Oh, Louis, you're looking so well, so strong, so bronzed. There is something I can't understand.
What?
Why did Monsieur Godet come to me and tell me that you were dangerously ill, that you were dying?
Perhaps it was a ruse to bring you to me.
A ruse? So that's it. You knew that I wouldn't see you.
Not unless I forced my way into your boudoir, which I did.
Oh, Louis, I love you for that. I love you for the harsh things you said to me.
Then you will come tonight, at midnight?
What am I to say to Papa and Mamma?
Apparently, you're a clever manager.
I will arrange it somehow. I must. I want to be with you, alone. Just you and I, shutting out the world.
Here is the address. I will be waiting outside for you. Midnight.
And so we leave Lucien and Emilie and travel once again across the Mediterranean to Lucien's brother Louis. Louis, who was once engaged to fair Emilie. How surprised Emilie would be if she could see this boy now, lying on his sickbed as white as death. This boy whom she thinks has put his arms around her and kissed her. But how is she to know, since one brother is a counterpart of the other? As we see Louis lying so still and so white, almost as though he were dead, we notice suddenly that his eyelids flicker, and once again the cry comes from his lips, the cry that is eternal through day and night.
Emilie! Emilie!
I am coming, Louis. I am coming. Griffo?
Yes, madame.
See if it's Louis. I think he is waking.
Is he still in his delirium, madame?
His eyes are open, but he sees nothing.
I wonder if he is in pain, madame.
That is what I fear, Griffo. What makes it worse, he has mental pain. Pain which tortures his poor brain. If it were physical, it would not rack him like this. He is a de Franchi. All the de Franchis can bear pain.
And you especially, madame.
I have learned the trick of it, Griffo. It's a case of mind over matter. A woman can profit by pain. If she is a great woman, she can refuse to let it conquer her. She can laugh at it. She can despise her body and rise above it.
But there is nothing for you to despise, madame.
I do despise myself. I despise myself for not being strong enough to defeat our enemies, Griffo. For allowing a woman to bring my son Louis to this. For allowing my enemy, the Medici, to whip him and torture him. But someday we shall rise above pain, as the great have done.
The great, madame?
Those who have the will to govern pain and deride it with their greatness. The composer Ludwig van Beethoven, for instance.
Your favorite works, madame.
And yet this great man, stricken death, mind you, Griffo, wrote his greatest works with deafness upon him. A composer wrote while he was deaf and never heard some of his finest works.
Almost incredible, madame.
His genius rose above his affliction, as so often happens when the mind rules. If only my poor Louis could control the mind, could banish the thought of this wicked woman.
Do you think she will come, madame?
No.
Then he will get worse.
To get worse would mean to die.
Oh, no, madame.
If only for me, Griffo. I am old. It is only when we're young that we fear death. We're hot then, hot with the zest of life, the will to live. And when this fire dies, when we stop thinking what we must achieve, then we are ready to pass into the valley of death. We have experienced the monotony of life, and death is the only thing left that has not come our way.
Emilie!
There, my son. Oh, Griffo, his forehead is so hot, yet his face so white, it is unnatural. Almost as though...
No, madame. He will live. He must live.
Leave me, Griffo. I will pray here by his bedside. I will pray that the woman will come to him, give him the will and the hope to live on. I will pray for his future and that of his brother. Leave me, Griffo.
Aye, madame.
$12, midnight. I am here with you, my son. I shall pray through the night into the dawn. It must be your will to live. You are a de Franchi. You have a mission in life. To live on with your brother so that the de Franchi name may once again become great in Corsica. Dear God in heaven, spare this life. I have made so many sacrifices that this boy should live. Do not let a woman break the thread which links life with death.
Come in.
Am I late?
No, it has just struck 12. Emilie. I have never seen you before in ball dress. Oh, it is enough to...
To what?
To take a man's breath away. You are breathlessly lovely.
I had to tell so many lies. You have no idea. And Papa, he was so curious.
Was he?
Yes. Oh, Louis, now that we have shut the world outside, I can hardly wait. Take me in your arms. Hold me close.
Your eyes are bright. Your cheeks flushed. You're excited.
Do you wonder? All night long, my thoughts were here with you. I couldn't listen to the chatter at the music hour. All day long, I've been hearing your voice. Isn't it strange, Louis, that I should have suddenly thought I've loved you all the time?
Very strange. Let me take your cloak. When do you have to be back?
I will not be missed. Oh, Louis, let me look at you. You're so tall, so bronzed, your shoulders so broad. Strange that I never realized it before.
Is it so strange?
To me, yes. Why do you look at me so queerly? Oh, don't laugh like that. And what is the matter with you? Oh, kiss me and tell me that you love me, as you did this afternoon. Oh, Louis.
Come here,
don't.
come here. Look up. Look me in the eyes. You asked me to tell you that I loved you. This is what I say.
Louis! Louis, are you out of your mind? You struck...
But only on the one side of your pretty face. Here is another.
Oh, Louis!
That's how much I love you, you vixen.
Vixen?
Yes. Perhaps you don't understand why I brought you here tonight. I will make myself clear. I brought you here to humiliate you.
Humiliate me?
Yes, for all you've done. To think that you were engaged to somebody whose boots you're not fit to lick. To think that you would leave that somebody dying and not make a move to help him. You Jezebel.
How dare you? How dare you say these things to me? Give me my cloak.
Just a moment. Your humiliation is not quite complete, Mme Latouche.
What do you mean?
You will learn in due time.
Give me my cloak.
Not until the time comes.
What do you mean? I don't understand. You're crazy. If you don't let me out of this room, I'll call for help.
Call for help, will you? And bring everybody here to witness your shame? A nice morsel of gossip for court circles tomorrow. You in my apartment at midnight, and your husband on the high seas.
Who is that?
The moment has come. Emily, your father and mother are on the other side of that door. I persuaded them to come so that they might learn something which would interest them vitally. The fact that you are little less than a courtesan.
What have you told them? What have you told my father?
I asked him to come here if he wanted to learn something that would interest him concerning his daughter.
How dare you?
How dare I, indeed? How dare you come to this apartment, you who are already married to somebody else?
You beast!
Your father grows impatient. He little realizes that I, your ex-fiancé, am here with you.
I hate you. I hate you for
That's just what I wanted you to do, for your lies, for your deceit, and for your heartlessness. Now, to talk with your father and tell him the truth.
No, don't.
Why not? You deserted Louis de Franchi, didn't you? You were engaged to him, and as soon as he was disinherited, you lost interest. You eloped with somebody else.
I know, Louis, I know. But I couldn't see into the future. Oh, Louis, please don't tell my father. He'd never forgive me.
I think it time your father should know of it now. It's time the world should know so that other people can be shielded. You use your beauty as a whip. And you lash, and you lash, and you lash. Not caring how hard you strike or whom you maim. All right. I'm coming.
Please, if you have any pity.
I received a letter to come here and... Why, Louis.
Good evening. You, Monsieur Latouche?
Well, you should know. Good heavens, what's the matter with you? We've known each other for so many years. Emily, what are you doing here? What does this mean?
You received a letter from me.
You wrote the note?
I did. I told you to come to this address so that you could learn something which would interest you. Very well, sir. I think now that you see your daughter here, you can guess the rest.
Emily, what does this mean? Why, only an hour ago we drove home from the reception. You went up to bed.
But she sneaked out again to meet me. I want to tell you, Monsieur Latouche, your daughter is little less than
Don't say that. Oh, Father, take me home. Take me away from this beast. I hate him. Hate him.
Oh, stop your screeching and get out. You can consider yourself lucky that the whole of Paris doesn't know.
Emily, you came here to meet this man?
Take me home. Take me home.
I can't say that I admire your behavior in this matter, Louis.
Nor can I admire your daughter's behavior. A daughter who was already married to somebody else. Good night, Monsieur Latouche.
Come, Emily. We'll have more to say about this when we reach home.
Little enough to do for you, Louis. To humiliate her as I have. What's more, she'll never guess that I'm not her ex-fiancé. And in the mistaken identity, she'll always suffer some humiliation.
Welcome back to the de Franchi, Monsieur Godet.
Thank you, madame.
I knew you were coming. Your rooms have been prepared. Tell me quickly, were you able to persuade...
Mme Latouche to come? No, madame.
Oh, Monsieur Godet.
But I have good news for you. There's a doctor with me. He's unstrapping some bags from the horses at this moment. A very great doctor who may be able to help your son.
And Lucien?
Lucien stayed behind.
He'll let you journey here alone.
He wanted to stay in Paris for a little while, madame, but he'll be back soon.
And this doctor?
Oh, this doctor may save your son's life. That is, if... Tell me, madame, how is Louis?
Louis is very low. Each day he gets weaker. Now his state is a trance-like one. He does not even call Emily's name.
Poor Louis. But there's hope, madame. This Dr. Curie is clever, recommended by one of the greatest medical men in France.
You have been so good to us, Monsieur Godet. One of these days I will find some way to repay you.
Oh, don't worry, madame. My repayment will be to see Louis with his health and strength regained. Oh, but see, here comes the doctor. I would like you to meet him, madame, and then we'll leave him with his patient.
This is a bad business, Emilie, and very serious. Have you nothing to say?
Don't tell Paul. Whatever happens, don't tell Paul, Father.
Why did you lie? You made an excuse to leave the reception early. You said you had a headache. Your mother has the vapors already, knowing as she knows now that you...
Oh, Papa, what can I say except that I'm sorry? I was carried away. When I met Louis again, somehow the...
What about your reputation? Supposing the rest of Paris heard of this. Supposing your husband knew that you'd arranged a midnight meeting with your ex-betrothed.
He'd kill me. Oh, Papa, don't wreck my life. Don't tell him.
Of course I won't tell him. But I want you to understand, Emilie, that I'm shocked and amazed. What's more, your mother will never get over it. To think that you, our daughter, would stoop to a clandestine meeting. Now go to your room. You must not move out of the house without your mother or a suitable chaperone until Captain Chateau Renaud comes back.
Yes, Papa.
And when he comes back, I think it will be better for all concerned if he sets you up in a house of your own.
You mean...
I mean that I'm ashamed of my own daughter. Good night, Emilie.
Good night, Papa. One of these days, Louis de Franchi, I'll even the score for this. I hate you more than I've ever hated anyone in my life. If you ever cross my path again, I'll even the score somehow. Somehow.
Emilie?
Oh, it's you.
Yes. What are you mumbling it to yourself?
Just making a resolution, that's all.
Oh, what happened? Did you get into frightful trouble?
Yes.
But I'm so amazed about it all.
Don't talk here until we reach the boudoir. Oh, that beast. That unmitigated beast. To humiliate me as he did.
Who? What?
You're in my confidence, Annette. You knew that I was going to meet Louis once again.
Yes.
Well, now, he lured me up to his apartment just so that he could humiliate me. Why, in the eyes of my father, it makes me seem that I'm nothing but a courtesan.
Oh, Emilie.
And in the garden this afternoon, he said he loved me. Oh, how I hate him.
Why? Why should he do such a thing?
How should I know?
It's all so strange. Monsieur Godet coming here and telling you that he was dying, and it was necessary for you to go to Corsica, and then for Louis himself to force his way into the boudoir and arrange for you to meet him.
I see it all so clearly now. He was angry because I married Captain Chateau Renaud. This is his revenge, to humiliate me and to turn my parents against me. Very well, Louis de Franchi. One of these days, one of these days.
If Amelia only knew it, her ex-fiancé at this moment was being examined by the doctor who had come all the way from France to Corsica. Carefully, the doctor examined the still form on the bed, testing heart and lungs and missing nothing in his meticulous examination of the sick man. He was amazed when he turned Louis on his side and beheld the ugly wheals across his back. Even this doctor, living in Paris as he did, seeing the sordid side of life as well as the cultural, did not realize the innate savagery which existed among the Corsicans in vendetta warfare. In the great living room, Madame waited, outwardly calm, but inwardly turbulent in her emotional strife. Finally, through the door came Louis's friend, Pierre Godet. Madame rose quickly to meet him, her eyes trying to read his face, endeavoring to glean from his expression the result of the great doctor's examination.
Well?
Sit down, Mme de Franchi.
What does he say? My boy, is there any hope?
Yes, Madame.
Thanks to God.
Just a moment, Madame. I haven't finished yet. Your son has been very, very ill. He's still dangerously ill. Certainly the Corsican doctor gave no hope. But this man with drugs can bring your boy back to a semblance of living.
A semblance of living? What do you mean? What do you mean, Monsieur Godet? A semblance of living?
Keep calm, Madame. The doctor's verdict is not a good one. You must be brave.
I must be brave.
Your boy will recover. But all his life, instead of being like Lucien, full of vitality and life and the joy of living, he'll be a weakling, an invalid, until he dies.
An invalid? My poor son Louis, who came to Corsica strong, vital, will be an invalid for the rest of his life?
Yes, Madame.
I am punished for my efforts to hide him from the world. You realize that, Monsieur Godet? When the two boys were born, I asked Peter to smuggle him away to France so that he would not fall to the Gedici knife. I little realized he would come back and be smashed like this with a Gedici lash.
It's not only the lash, Madame. The boy has a broken heart. He has no spirit, no will to get better. The doctor realizes that.
Poor Louis. Poor Louis. Oh, I hate them, the murderous Gedici. Monsieur Godet, I swear to you that if ever I see a Gedici anywhere, at any time, I will shoot him dead. As for Marianne, heaven help her if she ever comes my way.
Well, that is not likely.
You do not know the truth of it, Monsieur Godet. I truly believe that Marianne is a witch.
A witch? Oh, Madame, surely you don't believe such things.
But I have spoken of it before to you. She has tried to weave my other son Lucien in a spell. You see, she is very beautiful, dangerous, like this Parisian woman who broke Louis's heart. Marianne would not hesitate to Judas kiss and then slit the throat.
Oh, if only there weren't a vendetta. Wouldn't you feel more peaceful in your mind, Madame?
Never. Perhaps you do not know the true story of the beginning of the vendetta between the Gedici and the de Franchi.
No.
It happened many, many years ago, several centuries. And from then until now, bitterness upon bitterness has been piled.
What actually happened, Madame?
You have seen the ruins on the summit of the mountain.
Yes.
That is where the famous Savilia, widow of Lucien de Franchi, lived. She was the common ancestress of us all. It is a terrible story, monsieur.
I'd like to hear it, Madame.
Not far away, if you travel north, you will find the ruins of another castle, which 3 centuries ago was called the Castello de Valais. It was there that Signor de Gedici dwelled, a man as much hated as Savilia was loved, and as ugly as she was beautiful. It so happened that this Signora de Gedici fell in love with her, and as she was in no hurry to respond to his love, he warned her that if she did not agree to accept him as her husband, in a given time he would take steps to carry her off by force. By force.
Oh, Madame, with the laws as they are today, that would never happen.
Our ancestress Savilia pretended to yield and invited the Gedici to come and dine with her. overjoyed and forgetting that he had only attained this gratifying result by the help of threats, the Medici proceeded to keep the appointment, attended only by a few retainers. The door was closed behind them, and 5 minutes later the Medici was shut up, a prisoner, in our own castle dungeon.
I see. And she had this Medici killed, and thus began the feud.
Not quite. There is something more terrible to come. Every morning and evening, Savilia used to go down to the dungeon adjoining the one in which the Medici was shut up, and there, separated from him merely by bars, she would taunt him with her beauty. She would ask him how a man as ugly as he was could ever suppose that he would be master of beauty such as hers.
Good heavens.
This torment went on for 3 months, twice each day. But at the end of that time, Medici bribed a servant to make his escape. He then returned with his vassals, far outnumbering those of Savilia, stormed the castle, and having in his turn seized Savilia, imprisoned her in an iron cage in an open crossway of the forest, called Boccia di Galaccio, offering the key of the cage with his own hand to any of the passers-by who chose to go inside and whip her for sport. At the end of 3 days, Savilia was a corpse.
Oh, madame.
That is how hate for the Medici first started, and it has gone on through the years, the centuries. And now, with one son in invalid, there is only myself and Lucien to fight them.
If you only knew it, you fight a losing battle, madame.
A losing battle? Never. No matter how many Medici there are on this island, we will fight and win. I hate them all with all that is in me to hate. And now that Louis has suffered at their hands, I will not rest until their blood is drawn once again.
Good evening, sir.
Oh, good evening.
I noticed you earlier this evening. You've been standing here in the bow of the ship ever since she put out from Toulon.
Yes.
Going to Corsica for a holiday?
No. Corsica is my home.
You sound bitter for a young man.
Perhaps I am.
Perhaps you did not like Paris, eh? Perhaps you were glad to go home to your wife.
To my wife? I am not married, monsieur.
No? Oh, but perhaps there is plenty of time. Me, I did not marry till I was 25. No, 26 to be correct. I was married the day after my 26th birthday.
I will never marry.
Now, that is strange talk for a man like you. A man with fine bearing. You have perhaps been crossed in love?
Not exactly, monsieur. I am in love.
You are in love, and yet you said that you will not marry?
I cannot marry.
Oh, she is already married. Is that it?
No. It is more serious than that, monsieur. But if you have no objections, I would rather not speak of it. Rather would I look into the darkness to Corsica. That must be my wife. Corsica. Its mountains, its rivers, its snow-capped peaks, its people, and its vendettas.
As Lucien strains his eyes in the darkness, looking towards his birthplace, his thoughts fly to the south and to Marianne. In the great stone house of the Medici, there has been unrest and discord since the sensational episode of the flogging. Marianne, after blackmailing her father into setting Louis free, has not spoken to him all these weeks, nor he to her. The lame explanations made to the rest of the Medici family have been unsatisfactory, and this has strained relations even further between father and daughter. Marianne's Uncle Pietro is striving to make peace between the two without any success. And finally, on this same evening, when Lucien stands in the bow of the ship looking towards Corsica, Pietro knocks on the door of Marianne's bedroom.
Come in. Oh, it is you, Uncle Pietro.
Yes, Marianne.
What do you want?
Marianne, I think it is time you and I had a long, long talk. Marianne, you must take someone into your confidence. You have some secret worry. There's something on your mind. You trust me.
I don't want to talk.
I am your uncle. I've watched you grow from a little girl. I've always felt that I've known you, Marianne, as well as anyone in Corsica. Until you... Well...
Until I made Father set Lucien de Franchi free?
Yes. Oh, why did you do this thing? You hate the de Franchi as much as we do. Why did you do this thing?
You heard. Father told you.
But I cannot believe that you would love de Franchi.
Uncle Pietro, I begin to realize that we have no choice in the matter where love is concerned. Lucien de Franchi is our hated enemy. Lucien de Franchi told me he loved me.
What?
That was when he lay here ill, after he had been stabbed in the valley below Mount Santos. When he came back, that is, when you and Father brought him back from Oriacho by force, he was a changed man. He pretended that the words of love that were spoken between us had never been. He pretended that he didn't know me. I realize now that he pretended only to love me so that he could escape. I hate him.
And yet you made your father let him go free.
I couldn't stand it, Uncle Pietro. I just couldn't stand it to see him being flogged.
Marianne, look at me. Tell me the truth. In spite of what he did to you, in spite of his denying you the second time, you don't hate him, do you?
I do.
You don't. You're trying to blind yourself to the fact. As you said yourself, you have no choice in the matter where love is concerned. You love him even now.
Oh, Uncle Pietro, what is the use of loving him? He hates me. He only used me so that he could escape that first time.
Has it occurred to you that he might have denied you because of the vendetta? Has it occurred to you that he might even love you as you love him? But in his heart he realizes it is so hopeless.
I have often wondered, Uncle Pietro. And yet he wouldn't talk of it this second time. It was just as though it had never happened.
Yeah. The ways of love are strange. I've come to you tonight, Marianne, to find out what your true feelings are about Lucien de Franchi. And now I have something to say that will surprise you.
What is it, Uncle Pietro?
I know that you love this enemy of ours. It is also possible that he might love you. If such were the case, there might be peace on this island for now and for always.
You mean...
I am wondering if the impossible could happen. I am wondering if Marianne Medici and Lucien de Franchi could marry and thus end a vendetta which has brought pain, cruelty, and agony to us all for centuries.
What are you saying, Uncle Pietro?
Does it surprise you? I was thinking that if you and the de Franchi were married, it would end this awful feud.
Oh, never, never.
But you love him.
I don't, I won't. I hate him, Uncle Pietro. I keep saying that to myself. I hate him.
Only because you're trying to avoid the main issue, the true issue. Marianne, my dear, it grieves me to see you suffer like this, to see you divided from your father, to see you silent and brooding. What is your life to be? Already there are dark circles under your eyes, and your mouth for weeks has been set in a thin, hard line. Where is the beautiful girl that we used to know? Now, don't shake your head. Talk to me, please. You may think that there's a secret in your heart, but to me it's no longer a secret.
What's the use of my loving Lucien de Franchi? He doesn't love me, Uncle Pietro.
How do you know?
Haven't I told you? At first I thought he did. It was when you and Father brought him back after he'd been stabbed in the valley below Mount Santos. He told me he loved me then, and I helped him to escape. Now I know that he pretended he loved me. He wanted my help. It was a mean, miserable thing to do.
It proved that he didn't love you?
Beyond all doubt. This second time he pretended he was his twin brother. His twin brother. We all know that there are only two de Franchis in existence, the mother and the son.
Quite true.
He was ridiculing the love that I had for him, that's all. He'd just been using me. In his heart, I know he hates me because I'm a Medici.
And I came here today thinking that you loved each other. I know you love Lucien. Every action makes it plain.
But I don't, I won't. I have a will, Uncle. I'll fight and fight. I think only of the evil, horrible things about Lucien de Franchi. I think only of his duplicity, his two-facedness, and his cowardice for pretending that he was someone else. Every night and every day I think these things. Soon I hope that this feeling that I have for him will turn to contempt, to hate.
And what of your father? You and he haven't spoken.
I'm sorry about Father. I was desperate at the time. I forced him to let Lucien go because... Well, I did love Lucien. I couldn't bear to see him lashed to death.
Then why don't you go to your father and ask his forgiveness?
Because he would never forgive me. Unless I made it quite clear that I was not in love with Lucien. That I was prepared to hate him as all our family have hated him.
And that is not possible.
Oh, it is. All I ask for is time. Time to blot out the memory of something which I thought was almost holy.
No, my poor Marianne.
I'll fight this obsession, Uncle Pietro. I know I shall. Some people say love is an illusion, a conjurer's trick, to make things seem what they really are not. That's what I'm trying to persuade myself about this feeling I have for Lucien. It's an illness, a fever that will pass. Please God.
You've just come from Louis, madame?
Yes, Monsieur Godet. He's sleeping soundly.
Oh, it's the medicine. The medicine the Dr. Cure makes specially for him.
What a wonderful man he is. Oh, Monsieur Godet, we will be in your debt forever and ever.
Oh, don't talk of it. By the way, we've heard nothing of Lucien.
Why did he stay in Paris without you?
Well, madame, he was non-committal. Strange in his manner. There was something on his mind.
I know my son so well. I could have sworn that he would have been eager to rush back to Corsica as soon as possible. Monsieur Godet, he would not take a liking to Paris. He would not wish to live there always.
Oh, I think not. His first impressions were poor. And right till the very last moment when he decided he'd stay, I had the impression he wanted to get away as quickly as possible and come back to you.
Listen. The dogs. Somebody comes. I know. It is Lucien. He has come back almost straight after you, Monsieur Godet. He would not stay in Paris, not while his brother was so ill.
Can you see?
But there is no one on the road as yet. But there is a spiral of dust. Yes, here he comes now. Lucien, it's Lucien.
Oh, it's good to be home.
Tell me, Lucien. Tell me all about Paris.
Paris?
Yes. What did you see? What were your impressions?
I don't know. I wasn't very interested in Paris.
Well, Lucien, that's the impression you gave me until you decided that you'd stay. Just think of it, madame. Here I was, waiting for him, waiting to rush off in a carriage to Toulon. Barely time to catch the boat. And he arrives back at my apartment and tells me that he's staying on.
But why? Why?
There was a certain business which I had to attend to in Paris.
What business?
I had a score to settle with a certain Mademoiselle Amélie Latouche.
Amélie Latouche? Lucien, what have you done?
Settle my score.
Why, Lucien, what did you do? Oh, Lucien, remember that Paris is not Corsica. Surely your ideas didn't conform with those of a vendetta.
Yes.
Lucien, this Mademoiselle Latouche, you did not...
Cut her throat? Ah, no, Mother. Something far worse.
Lucien.
Oh, don't be alarmed, Monsieur Godet. I humiliated her, that's all. She mistook me for my brother, Louis. I led her on and humiliated her before her mother and father.
Good heavens.
What I did she will never forget. I'll make her understand that such women as she cannot march through life trampling over others, breaking hearts. Oh, which reminds me, Mother. When can I talk with Louis?
And the doctor gave orders that he was not to be worried nor troubled for 3 or 4 days, Lucien.
In that case, I shall wait until he's well enough to talk. There are several things I want to discuss with him.
And Emilie Latouche, what eventually happened?
The last punishment is yet to come.
The last punishment? What do you mean, Lucien?
I will say nothing until it eventuates. It is then that we de Franchis, especially Louis, will have the last laugh.
Several days passed, but as yet Lucien did not bother his brother Louis, although he was in a turmoil of inward anxiety, wanting to learn of Marianne and what actually happened when Louis was held prisoner in the Giudice household. With each day, Louis grew stronger, but as yet was not able to talk for very long. He visibly brightened, though, when he knew that his brother Lucien was in the house, and who, it seemed, with this clever doctor from France, had indeed worked a miracle. Meanwhile, Marianne, in her mental struggle, seemed also to be overcoming a very great hazard. One day she went to her Uncle Pietro's room.
Uncle Pietro, I have something to tell you.
Yes, Marianne?
A week has gone by since our last conversation.
Yes, but as yet you have not spoken with your father, nor he with you.
I am ready to go to him, to apologize for all I've done, and to tell him that my hate for the de Franchi is as strong as it ever was before I met Lucien.
You mean
I mean that I am mistress of myself once again. It's taken a long time, but Lucien has been put out of my mind. To me, he is no more now than that wall, except perhaps that I don't despise or loathe the wall.
I am glad, Marianne. Glad for your sake. You suffered.
I was a fool. Perhaps like the child who was forbidden to put his hand in the fire, I did. I was burned. Now I have a loathing for the fire.
Then come with me, Marianne. There's been such gloom over this house. You eating your meals in your room, your father keeping to his room, and myself having to be satisfied with my own company. Oh, come.
The realization came to me last night, Uncle Pietro, suddenly. I feel as if I'd been shackled, fettered, and then suddenly, freedom of heart. It's a wonderful feeling.
Your father's door. Be prepared for an outburst. He's still angry with you, very angry. But when you tell him how you feel about Lucien de Franchi now...
Marianne.
Good evening, Father.
What do you want?
Marianne has come to talk this matter over with you, Dino.
What matter?
Don't pretend. It's been on your mind, on mine, and on Marianne's ever since the de Franchi left.
Nothing you can say, Marianne, would help ever again. You brought dishonor to the name.
I did bring dishonor. But now, Father, I want you to understand that I'm ashamed of myself. To think that such words passed my lips, to proclaim that I loved a de Franchi. I hate him, Father. I can say that calmly and dispassionately. I hate him and loathe him perhaps more than you do. And if I ever see him again, I'll shoot him. I promise you.
You mean this?
Yes. After his behavior when you brought him back from the yacht show, when he pretended that he'd never met me before, when he lied to me, telling me a fantastic story about being a twin.
A moment. I've just had very strange news, Marianne.
Strange news?
Yes. A traveler's just come from the village where the de Franchi live. There are twins.
What?
2 de Franchi sons, each the image of the other. How this happened or where this other one sprang from, I don't know. Because ever since the de Franchi woman became a mother, we had always understood there was only one child.
Oh.
Mother, take my arm. I'll sit here.
Oh.
Your face is drained of all color. I'll get you some spirits at once. Marianne. Marianne.
What did you say, Father?
This traveler tells me that there are twins. Though it's the greatest mystery, I just cannot understand it. When our family surrounded the house of the de Franchi, a woman escaped. But she took one boy with her.
And what happened to the other if they are twins?
That is something this man cannot tell me.
Then if there are twins, Lucien, or whichever it was, the one we flogged must have been the other twin.
The other twin? What are you talking about?
Don't you understand, Father? He kept telling us all the time that he wasn't Lucien de Franchi.
Yes, I know, but... Oh, good heavens, yes, you're right. Anyhow, what does it matter?
so long as we flog de Franchi.
You don't know what this means to me, Father. You don't know what it means. The first time it was Lucien. It must have been. The second time it was a stranger. His twin. Oh.
Marianne.
What have I done? What have I said?
What is the meaning of this strange behavior? You come here and tell me that you hate de Franchi, that you have become mistress of yourself, that you have suppressed these baser feelings, and now...
And now I realize, Father, that Lucien would never have denied me. In fact, it wasn't him. Oh, Lucien, what have I done? When I think of my evil thoughts, the loathing I had for you, the way that I despised you, and all the time it wasn't you.
Marianne, does this mean that you're still in love with Lucien de Franchi?
Oh, yes.
In spite of the dishonor you bring to us? Don't you realize that your cousin used to be known?
I don't care. I don't care about anything except that I love Lucien and that I'm not worthy of him because of what has happened. I should have believed, but I didn't have the faith.
You must forget him.
That is impossible.
You must, otherwise... Marianne, if you love de Franchi, you're no daughter of mine.
You mean...
You are not fit to live in this house.
Are you asking me to go?
If you love de Franchi, yes.
Very well. Shall I go now?
Marianne, you wouldn't desert your father, your family?
I would go to the end of the earth if necessary, just to make Lucien understand how I feel. To think that I doubted him. We both knew that ours was an eternal love, and yet I disbelieved. I thought it was Lucien who was tied to that whipping post. Lucien who was lying, putting me to ridicule. I will go now.
Yes. The sooner the better, as far as I am concerned. You're no daughter of mine.
Marianne, where can you go? What can you do?
I shall go to Lucien. I shall beg his forgiveness.
Go to the de Franchi house?
Yes.
Are you crazy? You'll be murdered.
I don't care.
What has come over you? Have you lost your senses?
No, Father. I have just found them. If Lucien de Franchi doesn't want me, I don't want to live.
Meanwhile, in the de Franchi home, Louis, as the days sped by, gained strength. And soon he was sitting up in a chair by the window which overlooked the garden with the brook running through. Lucien, who was still puzzled by Louis's strange words just before he collapsed in front of the de Franchi home, at last one day decided that he would discuss the matter with his brother. On this bright morning, with the sun streaming in, the two brothers sat side by side, looking out across to the mountains in the distance.
It is over there, Louis, where you were imprisoned.
Yes.
Oh, I hate to go back, Louis. I hate to remind you of what happened, but when you were lashed, there's something that you said. Something which has been worrying me for a long, long time.
Marianne Medici?
You have guessed?
I know.
Then, Louis, why haven't you mentioned it since?
I was waiting for you. You see, I mentioned Marianne's name once in front of our mother, and her anger knew no bounds.
I know. That is the tragedy of it, Louis. We're mortal enemies. Our families have been fighting for centuries.
And you love her?
Yes. That is why I wanted to ask you what you meant when you declared that she said she would shoot me on sight.
Don't you understand, Louis? When I was taken, the Medici mistook me for you. So did Marianne.
But didn't you tell her?
I did. She didn't believe me.
She didn't believe you?
No. Can you blame her? We're the image of each other. Besides, there was the wound, which is here, almost in the same place as where you were stabbed by Dino Medici.
Good heavens. You're right, Louis.
And Marianne seemed upset when I said that I didn't remember what had passed between you. She became angry, beside herself. And yet, in spite of her tantrums, she stopped the flogging. She really saved my life.
So she has saved both our lives.
I'm afraid she saved mine because she thought I was you.
And now she thinks I am the lowest of the low. Oh, Louis, what a tragedy it is.
You love her very deeply, then?
More than life itself. But when we parted, we decided that we must try and forget each other. Of course, that was out of the question. But we both realized that it was a useless love, a senseless love. Our families hate each other. And we've been brought up to be bitter enemies.
Life's very strange. Two people desperately in love, not able to be with each other. And yet, in my case, one person, myself, worshipping, adoring, only to be met with treachery and derision.
Oh, you feel better now. The doctor says you're improving every day.
Yes, Lucien. But strangely enough, I have no will to live. Certainly, Dr. Curie has given me wonderful medicines which stimulate the heart, which keep the spark of life within. But my feelings, my mind, the pattern of my life is a dead thing.
Then each of us has our own particular tragedy. Oh, perhaps it was meant this way, Louis. Two sons born under Gemini, the twin stars, born to love and lose.
Several days later, Louis was strong enough to walk in the garden. And it was not long before his brother Lucien suggested that he go for a trip into the woods. And so it was arranged for Griffo and the two boys to go for a whole day to the summit of the mountain, where there was a magnificent view, and where Louis would be able to survey one of the most beautiful panoramas in the whole of Corsica. Madame stayed at home with their guest Pierre, who on this fated morning was compiling some data which he had collected concerning the life and customs of the Corsicans. Madame, at the door of the big living room, paused when she saw him so engrossed in his work.
Oh, come in, Mme de Franchi.
I am disturbing you.
Oh, I've got to rest for a few minutes. I've been concentrating for an hour and a half. You know, I have the complete record here of the Corsican form of burial. It's most interesting indeed.
We shall look forward to a most interesting book about Corsica, Monsieur Coudet.
Well, judging from the fund of material I have here, believe me, Madame, when I write about the Corsican vendetta, people in Paris will think it's exaggerated.
I hope you will not make light of it, Monsieur Coudet.
Make light of it? Oh, Mme de Franchi, that's the last thing I do. I know what it means to you.
To know that you have mortal enemies, people who would be ready to cut your throat at a moment's notice. People like this Marianne Gedici.
Marianne Gedici. Have you ever met this Marianne?
Met her? Certainly not. If ever I come face to face with Marianne Gedici, I'll shoot her dead.
Madame.
She is the most dangerous of them all.
Why do you say that?
I have never been afraid before, Monsieur Coudet. Not of the Gedici. I have hated them, yes, but I have never been afraid of them. Not until my son Lucien met this Marianne. She is a witch. She tries with her beauty to weave a spell over my son. However, since we are enemies, it is not likely they shall meet again.
This vendetta has caused great unhappiness between your two families, Madame.
It is the Gedici fault. It has always been. Until they are all dead, there will never be any peace. A visitor? I know who it is. The neighbors from the house down below, on the other side of the brook. They have come to see if Louis is well enough to visit us. Excuse me.
Certainly, Madame.
Oh. You wish to see someone?
Yes, I would like to speak with Lucien de Franchi.
Lucien de Franchi? That is my son. He has gone to... Who are you? Who are you, I say?
I am Marianne Gedici.
A breathless, terrifying moment. Imminent tragedy poised, knife-edged on the wings of circumstance, as these two women faced each other. Make sure you hear the next enthralling episode of The Corsican Brothers.